we need to talk about David Wagner and we need to talk about Norwich because this didn't take long, did it? Norwich knocked out in the playoffs, 6th place Norwich last night, and the rumour mill was pretty much as soon as we hit sort of 8-9 o'clock this morning, the rumour mill was going, wasn't it, that David Wagner had already been sacked. And that turned out to be true. Norwich City confirming that about lunchtime, wasn't it? Thank you for everything, but goodbye to David Wagner. And we now have this interesting situation in the Championship where since the regular season has finished, we've seen Liam Rosenior, who finished in 7th, sacked. And we've seen David Wagner, who probably did the brief that Liam Rosenior was given at Hull, get into the playoffs. He's also been sacked. Get some comments in on that as we're watching live. We'll clip this one out, so get your comments in after the fact as well. And I'll give you my take on David Wagner. Norwich are a powerful Championship team. Big expectations at that club when they are at second tier level. Ever since Paul Lambert was there and they did the back-to-back promotions, they've pretty much either been in the Premier League and, you know, maybe getting relegated from the Premier League in a lot of those seasons, or challenging at the top of the Championship to get promoted. Obviously, they came down and Alex Neil managed to get them up. What was that? 2014-15, then back into the Premier League. Back down they came. And we wondered whether Norwich were in the Championship to stay then, because the parachute payments did run out at that point. But they sold James Maddison. Daniel Farker built that team of Buendia, Pukki, Aarons, Lewis. One of the best Championship teams we've seen in the last decade, to be honest. Up they went again. Back down they came. Up they went it was in the COVID season, wasn't it? Kept Buendia, kept Pukki and won the league again. Down they came again, the real proper yo-yo, that one. Promoted, relegated. But the cycle ended last season, which is where David Wagner comes into the conversation at Norwich City. Dean Smith was the guy there charged with getting Norwich back. He got promoted with Aston Villa, hadn't he? But horrible fit, Dean Smith and Norwich, and he was out the door, I think, possibly even before Christmas. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong in the chat about that. It was definitely midway through the season. In comes David Wagner, and it was a bit of a funny one because he was obviously tied together with Stuart Webber, the sporting director at Norwich, but we all kind of knew Stuart Webber was going to be going out, and it's, you know, has he brought in a familiar face just to see things through? So in comes Wagner. Norwich had a horrible end to last season and a horrible beginning to this season as well. And I think we all quote, and sorry if I sound like a broken record, the Sky TV game at home to Blackburn, November the 5th, potentially. And honestly, I thought he's definitely going to get sacked after that. Norwich, I think, were like 17th, or certainly well down the table, not playing well, not winning games. They kept him, and this after Stuart Webber, the sporting director, has gone and Ben Napper had come in. And they went with David Wagner. Josh Sargent got fit and got into the team. So did Borja Sainz. And Norwich went on a run up the table. And this is where you need to talk expectations and squad versus league position. Because I've already seen a few tweets from people who have clearly, the only thing they know about Norwich is what the league table says right in front of their face. And you get this kind of outraged reaction of, oh, they finished 6th. You can't sack him. But it's always been a weird one with Wagner because they're a year 2 parachute team. So you do expect them to be at least challenging for the playoffs. I know the year 1 mob this year, Leicester, Leeds, Southampton have been really powerful. But you still expect the Norwich team. I don't know how much all these players cost, but the likes of Sargent, Sarah, obviously Rose come through. We've mentioned Sainz. I think Angus Gunn was once a 10 million quid goalkeeper. Ben Gibson, I think, on that deal was very expensive when they did the loan with obligation to buy. Duffy. Who else have they got? Nunez, I don't think was cheap from South America. Could be wrong about that. I think it was the money went on Sarah, to be honest. But what I'm saying is all of these things can be true at the same time with Norwich and Wagner. One, they started badly and recovered well. Two, probably on the basis of their squad, that's where they should have been anyway, which means you can kind of make an argument that did he go from underachieving with that squad to just par? And I think there's been issues there at Norwich with the away form, and as much as I don't always agree with Chris Sutton, with the style of play a little bit, because we had got used to Norwich in recent years in the Championship, particularly under Daniel Farke. Superb football team. Possession-based, loads of chances, loads of goals. Great to watch. Maybe stepped away from that a little bit. So I think what I'm concluding is this has been coming, and it's almost like David Wagner's performance has stopped it happening. I bet if 5 games before the end of the season, Norwich couldn't have mathematically made the playoffs, I bet he would have been fired then. In a similar way to Alex Neil was in, when was that, 2017? I'm trying to remember all my Championship years. So, yes, I think David Wagner is a nice bloke and interviews well and just seems a good dude, a good guy, doesn't he? Yes, it was a good turnaround in the second half of the season, but I can still understand them wanting to move on with a new sporting director, with a big sense of underachievement. Not all David Wagner's fault, because obviously Dean Smith had the first part of the year 1 parachute season for Norwich, but it is a decision that we could see coming. And I joked at the top of this segment, I said, that didn't take long. But the fact is, if he's not going to be your guy next season and you want to make a change, then why wouldn't you do it the day after the playoffs are done and you're out? And it's a good job. I know they don't have the parachute payments anymore now, Norwich, but they've got a blooming good squad. There's saleable assets there. They've got a good fan base. They've got a great history at Championship level and know their way around, and the expectations are high. So you would expect any manager to be going in there thinking, I'm one good season away from top 6, promotion, Premier League. And lots of people are already arguing and asking me and saying, do you think Championship's going to be slightly easier next season? Not crazy 3 teams above 90 points this season and one on 87 or whatever it is Southampton got. So, looks like a good job to me over there at Norwich. And as much as I like David Wagner, seems a good bloke, doesn't seem that the fit was perfect, and I think I did see this one coming. Let's read some comments and then I'll finish up here. Stephen thought Wagner was going to be sacked in November. Stephen, so did I. If I'm completely honest, I thought he'd go after that Blackburn game. Got to rip the Band-Aid off. I assume that's a Norwich comment in there. Liam thought he would be sacked when Blackburn played them off the park. Nick Nat, quite a few people in the chat last night were saying that's Wagner gone. Well, they were right if that's what they were saying last night. Richard, quite like that's a tribal comment there. What else have we got here? Ian, the football wasn't great under Wagner. Few of the wins weren't great either. Dean Smith sacked January. There you go, mid-season. Around Christmas time. There's a great question. Think if Southampton lose, Martin is sacked too. I actually don't, but I can see why we'd be having that conversation. Do you think Wagner would have been canned if Norwich had lost by 1 or 2? Do you know what, Jack? I think he probably would have. I think they decided that either he was going to take them up or he was gone. Do you know what? He might have even taken them up and been sacked as well, which would be crazy. But there you go. We are going to clip that one out. That is my reaction to David Wagner out of Norwich. Get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on the decision and who you would like to see next in at Norwich and who you think is going to get that gig.